to the channel. I know it has been a minute. It's not because we haven't been doing stuff here. I've just been fantastically busy. Too busy tuning to do a bunch of editing. But today, we have this beautiful 2006 Viper here. It came to us really with Nitrous already installed and just wanting to finish the Nitrous install and spray it and get a number. But upon further investigation, it already had a tune on it, you know, an all-motor tune. But upon further investigation, the all-motor tune that was on it was very questionable. It looked like 15 to 20% lean all over the place. So first thing we had to do was get the all-motor tune right before we could even think about spraying any nitrous.
Yep.
Had he sprayed nitrous on that tune, I think it would have been a very bad time. So anyways, I want to talk about tuning this car, but more specifically, I want to talk about preparing the car for a nitrous kit and what that entails in the tune and what that also entails mechanically.
Yep, and if y'all have been following the channel for a while, there's a couple things on the nitrous kit that are just no-nos when it comes to the wiring and everything. So I think Ethan's gonna, remember, this was already installed. So we're just gonna clean up a little bit and then we're gonna get this thing on the dyno, make some power.
Okay, so I wanted to show, here's a data log of what the car looked like on the pre-existing tune. So down here in this area, up to 2,000 RPMs, it's pretty close, within, you know, 5%, that's kind of the standard. Then we really diverge from that, and we've got 14% lean, 15% lean, and then we actually go into pure open loop. So we lose the trim reading past this 4100 or so, but you can rest assured that it's gonna continue going lean 15% or so out there. So that kind of leads us to another important point is that what I've done here now is put an AEM wideband in the car so that I can see really what we're doing all the way out here at full tilt.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, 15% off in the big end, like that is an absolute problem if you're about to spray on the car. That's maybe a problem, you know, even all motor could eventually, you know, spell disaster for the engine and whatnot. So the first thing I needed to do was get this all back in the range before we can even think about spraying. And you definitely don't want to be on the lean side of things. I like to start out, if I know I'm going to spray on a car, then I like to be more than a few percent rich, maybe like 5 or 10% rich everywhere, so that way when I spray on it, you know, I know that we're at a good starting point. Showing you guys how lean that all motor tune was in the big end. That's very bad. That's bad for all motor. That's really bad for nitrous. So that's a terrible place to start at on nitrous. So obviously I had to adjust the all motor tune to get us in the range. Normally on an all motor tune, I like to end up at a couple percent rich so that the car has an easy time trimming a little bit of fuel away. If you get a fantastically cold day or you go up down in elevation, you know, you don't want to be at the ragged edge for anything regarding tuning. So I like to leave it just a couple percent rich. Now, if I'm tuning a car that I know I'm going to spray nitrous on, I might like to go ahead and make it like 5 or 10% rich. This car has a wet kit on it, so there is fuel being added with the nitrous. This is a very small shot right now. It's just a 75 shot, so we're not asking very much. I mean, I think we're asking 7.5 more horsepower per cylinder. So this shot could be sprayed without the fuel, without any real tuning, but still some of the same things that I'm gonna say would apply, especially if you're gonna spray a big shot, 150, 200 or whatever. So you wanna have the car running rich before you spray the shot.
Okay.
The other key thing that I like to do before I actually have the nitrous spray is I hook up the kit, have the bottle shut, and then do a hit with the nitrous controller working to where you get just your fuel shot. And what you should see is if you've already done all motor pulls, you have your certain air fuel number that you've been at, and then you hit the nitrous, but there's no bottle open, so then you just get the fuel hit of the nitrous kit. So you should see your fueling go boom, rich right away. That lets you know that the fuel portion of the nitrous kit is absolutely working. So
yeah, and that's probably smart.
That's the only way to do it. You know, like you must check the wet portion first before you actually add the nitrous.
Okay.
So once I see that, and that already happened on this car where we were at like a 12:4 air fuel ratio out at full tilt, and then I did just the fuel kit and we went down to 11.0. So that makes me feel very comfortable that the fuel portion is working and we're good to turn the nitrous active. So a problem that I ran into with once we turned the nitrous active is we were getting an inconsistent activation of the unit as far as the nitrous activation. So that looks like that was going to boil down to connections, like as far as the electrical connections, Some people use butt connectors. Some people, you know, solder the connections and heat shrink. There's multiple ways that you can do it right, but you have to make sure you do it right, especially on a nitrous kit. There is no more dangerous item that you could be working with.
Fuel and nitrous.
I mean, the connections are critical, not just electrically, but also on the bottle, at the solenoids, at the everything. Like, you have to use the Teflon tape. They all have to be tight. You cannot have any leaks. There is no room for error here. Like, probably don't install the nitrous kit yourselves. Like, probably.
Have a professional do it.
Because now, you know, no judgment here, but I'm having to go back in now and redo some stuff that the owner already did. So I'd rather just do it right from the get-go and not kind of go through those sketchy and having to trace wires and all that.
And all that backtracking. All right, well, I think we're ready to maybe make a pull real quick.
Sure.
All right.
So to go back in time just a little bit, when the car came in, it had the SCT tuning software on it. And because it's a little bit older one, I was actually able to read off that tune file with HP tuners, so I could kind of view what the pre-existing tune was. Once I got that pulled off, then I always flash a vehicle back to stock before I begin tuning on it. You don't ever want to go off of somebody else's tune. You might look at that information if it can potentially be useful, but more often than not,
a certain direction they may be headed or something.
This car already had a cam in it, so I thought maybe some of the idle tables or things like that might be helpful. Turns out there wasn't too much helpful inside of the pre-existing tune, but here is some of the stuff I saw. On screen right now is the tune file and then the reverted to stock file. So there's a few odd things. Let me pull up the fuel map. So there's the fuel map. There's the tuned one, and here's the stock one. That's showing the differences. So the tuned file has more fuel in these two bottom rows, but then the stock file actually has more. See, like right here. See this 11,000? That's the stock file. In the tune file, it's got 9 right there. So that's kind of odd. Then looking at it like this is one thing, but when you look at it graphically, it can tell you a little bit more. So there's what the tune file one looks like. You can see how those top two load lines are pretty ugly, man. The rest of this looks okay. You can definitely see a clear where somebody just grabbed a whole box and said, let me add 10%, and that's that clear delineation you see there where the whole thing is raised up, and then the top two load cells are just like, hey, let's throw a ton of fuel at it. Here's what the stock one looks like, which is that top line is still pretty ugly, but at least there's a much more even jump from each one and a cleaner escalation. So that does look a little bit better, minus this one that should be smoothed out and up. But that's definitely not the right way to have it. And I will show you what my map looks like in just a moment. So there's that tuned file fuel shape, and now here is mine. That is what it is supposed to look like, people.
Oh, that's so pretty.
You can also view it graphically. You can see how that it's not horrendous, but you know, you'd rather it look like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so another little comparison to show. Here is the tuned ignition timing map. Kind of an odd little hole right there, but that is in the peak torque area, so maybe that's explainable. But then let's see. Let's look at here's the stock timing map. So, and then here's the differences. So, man, some major differences in areas that you don't really get in, because that's like kind of a decel area right there. Definitely some major timing added there as well, but really just not a very
and this
sensible.
Is the SCT?
Yeah. So this is the tune file off the SCT versus the stock file.
Okay.
So the red indicates that the tune file has that much more timing. So this has 13 more degrees at 3,600 RPMs. That is a lot of timing right there. And so that's really a lot of timing if we're about to spray on the car. So this goes back to why you can't just use an existing map on a car. You got to be very careful about that. You need to compare it to a known stock map, so that you can see where you're coming from. Because if we were to spray on that with 13 extra degrees at 3,600 RPMs, and with the leanness that we saw, man, that would definitely be the end.
You know, nitrous is such an easy solution for horsepower, but it's also an easy solution to blow up your motor.
Yes, that's a very quick way to see the insides of your motor.
Yes.
But if you prepare correctly, I don't think it has to be, you know, it's kind of scared. You know, people are kind of scared of it, but if you know the right ingredients, then it's not nearly as
dangerous as people.
Yeah. This kind of brings me to another point though that we didn't mention yet, and that is the spark plugs that are in the vehicle. You do not want to have the stock spark plugs. You definitely want to go at least one heat range colder, depending on, you know, what your shot is, but maybe even a couple heat ranges colder. That's already been done on this car.
Can you explain to us newbies why that is?
So you're just trying to reduce the chance of pre-ignition, and by going with a colder plug that won't light off as readily, then you're buying a little bit more safety. Okay. And you're also buying yourself a little bit more room on the ignition timing that you're going to be running. And then that brings me back to another point. So on this map, on the that's loaded on the car, ready for nitrous right now, which that's not on the screen.
Yeah.
I've actually removed like 5 degrees everywhere in the big end, just in preparation for the nitrous shot. That's probably not necessary at all on this small of a shot, on this big of a motor, but that's a good precaution to take. Is when you're going to do your first spray, just go and, like I put in 5-10 extra% fuel, I'm taking away 5 extra degrees of timing. I want to be well south of my goal number, and you know, just to assure the safety. We can look at the plugs, and we can change jetting, we can change the timing after, but let's see it make a safe run first.
Absolutely. So there's our number for the NA pull, but Ethan wanted to say he had to do a lot of work to get to that number.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on this car that's not going to be on video. I spent hours yesterday getting it calibrated in, getting the fueling curve just right. And so now we have a good place to start. Where we kind of thought we were going to start with, now we're there. So now it's really time to make sure the nitrous stuff is set up correctly, and make some even more power.
Absolutely.
Bottle pressure is not super high. Looks like about 900 or so. We're not going to have really optimum performance from the kit because we don't have a heater. I don't have anything to torch the bottle with. We also don't even have a purge valve. So the very first part of a run, we're not going to get a steady stream of nitrous. So we're probably going to do like a partial pull right now to kind of clear the line out.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the real pull.
Cool.
Here we go. That's not good. The battery charger is hooked up, and somehow the truck just
slammed shut.
Full shut.
I got it on video.
Survey says
Small hit, I don't know.
that's a small hit. Now we got to remind everybody, this is only a 75 shot.
Yeah.
Kind of the same results.
Over there.
Still not the results we're wanting. We're diagnosing, talking about some ideas, but Ethan wants to do one more pull and let's see what happens. We've diagnosed as much as possible. The nitrous is hooked up as simply as possible. We know that it's coming on, but
we're only getting like 20 horsepower.
Yeah.
We are getting like 50 foot-pounds of torque bump out of it, but yeah, 20, not even 20 horsepower really.
Next, we're kind of curious about what pill's in there, and
yeah, I think I need to take a look at. I need to look at what pill it is right now and see, because it's sure not acting like there's much nitrous rolling. So right now, I am going to change out one of the pills on the nitrous side of the kit. We definitely could deal with more than a 75 shot. It seems like that 75 shot is really only netting us like 50, if that, with our current state of tune. So I think either way, we kind of wanted a little bit more nitrous than that. That's only asking like 7 horsepower per cylinder right now. So we're going to bump it up to the 100 shot, which is still only 10 more additional horsepower from each cylinder. Is all we're asking. But I'm going to put that in. I know that we're also running rich right now, so I'm not going to change anything with the fuel jetting. And hopefully we'll actually have some
better
real
luck
power
with this.
increase now. Yeah.
Yep. All right, we're trying to wrap this up for you. We got 100 shot in there now. Let's see what type of power it makes. We're gonna do one more pull, see how it goes.
So that's like a 75, 80 horsepower bump.
Yeah, so that's what we were looking for.
About 80 foot-pounds of torque or so as well.
Yeah. That's good. That's what we were looking for.
Yep.
That's a good spot to stop.
Nice. All right, so we just finished up with the Nitrous Viper. I'm pretty happy. Made us fight a lot. Had to redo a lot of different components there. Kind of thought that I was only going to have to do like nitrous tuning, but as we talked about right away, man, that all-motor tune looked bad. So square one, before nitrous, get your all-motor tune perfect. Square two, make sure that you have the right spark plugs for nitrous. So go ahead and go 1 stage colder, maybe 2 stages colder, do some research and figure out what's right for you. So it's very important to test the fuel side of the nitrous kit before you actually use the nitrous. So have your bottle closed, have all your other parameters set, and act like you're gonna spray, but just bottle is closed. When you do that, you should get just the fuel side to hit, and then you should know what your AFRs were before the nitrous, and then just with the fuel side hitting, your AFR should go way down. And we did that on this car. We were at like 12.4 AFR before, and then with just the wet side, it went down to like 11.0 or 11.2. So I could see, man, almost a point difference down. I know that, hey, the fuel side is working. The other thing that I did was I went in the ignition timing map and I pulled out a few degrees of timing. Maybe, I mean, you could pull out like 5 degrees of timing just to have a really safe starting point. And then you go by, reading the plugs and kind of just appraising what timing is reasonable. That only comes with experience, so be careful here, obviously. I would always rather err on the side of too little timing than too much timing. 5 degrees out, it's still going to make some power.
Yeah.
If you just only two degrees out, then you might be in a danger zone depending on the shot and the rest of the tune and all that other stuff. So, if you use it carefully, nitrous doesn't have to be dangerous. And I feel very comfortable, confident about the setup on this car. I think it'll be good to spray through tons and tons of bottles. No worries.
Because spraying on a button?
Everything. No. No button spray. Do not do it, man. I do know some crazy folks that have done it for a long time. I don't know if they just got like
real
reflexes
lucky.
Or real lucky because, I mean, once you hit the rev limiter, your tires go to spinning, you tap the rev limiter. So if the nitrous is doing what you want it to do, adding a bunch of power, then you should now be tapping that rev limiter much faster. And I don't know if anybody can say they're fast enough to let off of it. Not me at least. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nitrous does not have to be as dangerous as some people make it out to be, you know, if it's set up and treated correctly. I think that's the moral of the story.
All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next episode. Later.